Hi, everyone. It's Kira, the teen librarian at Rawlings Library. And this is a little bit of a different program I'm doing. I'm not doing a book talk. Um, I read an op ed in the New York Times a while ago, maybe a couple of weeks. And it was called Thank God for the Poets. And it was subtitled, Their words remind us that suffering is not our only birthright. Life is also our birthright. Life and love and beauty. And this op ed was written by Margaret Frankel. And I found it very helpful in a way. This has been a really tough year for everyone for different reasons. But I think all of us are grieving. Whether it's being isolated or whether we've lost someone that we love. So I put together a few poems, well, more than a few, that I'm just going to read that I think get at various elements of loss and of survival and of the beauty of life. So I don't know that they're in the right order. I'm also going to read a couple at the end, which are actually written by YA authors. But the initial ones are just written by poets, not particularly YA writers or anything. Sorry, I'm a mess. So I'm just going to get started. I'm not the best reader of poetry, but I am going to do my best. And I hope that anyone who watches this will feel the same sense of satisfaction that I got in reading that op-ed. And I'm not going to read Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem, but I recommend that everyone do, because everyone does. I can't figure out my grammar on that. Because I think that captures it in quite a profound way, and it's a beautiful poem. But it's quite long. So, but I think that in some way inspired the op-ed, and I would encourage everyone to reread it, because it's a wonderful poem about hope despite everything our country has been through in the last year, and the fact that we're going to keep working. So, first poem isn't quite about that. The first one is about about how, when some suffering happens, the world just goes on, and not everyone takes, not everyone even looks or pays attention. It's by W.H. Auden, and it's called Musée des Beaux-Arts. About suffering, they were never wrong, the old masters. How well they understood its human position. How it takes place while someone else is eating or opening a window or just walking dully along. How, when the aged are reverently, passionately waiting for the miraculous birth, there always must be children who did not specially want it to happen, skating on a pond at the edge of the wood. They never forgot that even the dreadful martyrdom must run its course, anyhow, in a corner, some untidy spot where the dogs go on with their doggy life, and the torturer's horse scratches its innocent behind on a tree. In Bruegel's Icarus, for example, how everything turns away quite leisurely from the disaster. The plowman may have heard the splash, forsaken cry, but for him it was not an important failure. The sun shone as it had to on the white legs disappearing into the green water, and the expensive, delicate ship that must have seen something amazing, a boy falling out of the sky, had somewhere to get to and sailed calmly on. This is quite sad, but I think it may capture what many people feel when they're grieving, that the world just keeps going. And how horrible that is. The next one I'm going to read is called, it's called Good Bones by Maggie Smith. Life is short, though I keep this from my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways. 1,000 deliciously ill-advised ways I'll keep from my children. The world's at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this from my children. For every bird, there's a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bagged, sunk in a lake. Life is short, and the world is at least half terrible. And for every kind stranger, there is one who would break you, though I keep this from my children. I'm trying to sell them the world. Any decent realtor, walking you through a real shithole, chirps on about good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful. And I actually think that you could make this place beautiful, though at first you're sort of mocking the realtor. I think it's sincere. The world is not full of wonderful people. As much as we like to believe, or I like to believe that it is, it isn't. But that doesn't mean that each of us couldn't make the world more beautiful. This one is about, well, I'll read it. We Wear the Mask by Paul Laurence Dunbar. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but O great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh, the clay is vile beneath our feet, and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. And I think it's funny that this is about the mask, right? We're all actually wearing masks, but it's also about the way we say we're okay when we're not okay. And that's fine most of the time, but we have to admit that we're not okay. Otherwise, we really, really won't be okay. So at least to ourselves and to the people closest to us, we needed to take off that mask. We need to be honest. Even if to the world at large, to the people we don't really know, we keep that mask on. I know this isn't about depression in particular, but something very common among very depressed people is that they wear a mask as if they're fine. But they're actually as far from fine as you can imagine. And one would hope that each of those people have people in their lives where they take off that mask and share their pain. Because we have to share our pain. Otherwise, it'll fester and it won't get better. You're not alone in your pain, but you need to help in not making yourself alone. You need to communicate. Okay. The next poem is a Maya Angelou poem, and it's called When Great Trees Fall. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly, our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. This is quite a stunning poem about mourning. That's all I have to say. It's just it's stunning. Okay. The next one is called Won't You Celebrate With Me by Lucille Clifton. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman. What did I see to be except myself? I made it up, here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me every day. Something has tried to kill me and has failed. There's a lot to say about this poem, but it's triumphant in its survival and its assertion of her coming into being. By will and creativity, and despite everything against her. This is another Lucille Clifton poem called New Bones. We will wear new bones again. We will leave these rainy days, break out through another month into sun and honey time. Words buzz over us like bees. We will be splendid in new bones. Other people think they know how long life is, how strong life is. We know. I'm not going to say anything about that either. I love Lucille Clifton. There's a lot to be said, but I'm not going to say it. Because though I have my opinions, I'm not well enough educated about Lucille Clifton. So, the next poem is called The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. This is precisely what that op-ed was about. This poem is called Sorry Is Not My Name by Ross Gay, after Gwendolyn Brooks. No matter the pull toward brink, no matter the florid deep sleep awaits, there is time for everything. Look, just this morning, a vulture nodded his red, grizzled head at me, and I looked at him, admiring the sickle of his beak. Then the wind kicked up, and after arranging that good suit of feathers, he up and took off, just like that. And to boot, there are on this planet alone something like 2 million naturally occurring sweet things, some with names so generous as to kick the steel from my knees. Agave, persimmon, stickball, and the purple okra I bought for $2 at the market. Think of that. The long night, skeleton in the mirror, The man behind me on the bus taking notes. Yeah, yeah. But look, my niece is running through a field calling my name. My neighbor sings like an angel. And at the end of my block is a basketball court. I remember. My color's green. I'm spring. And this last one is by one of my favorite writers. Well, my favorite novelists back in the day, Robert Louis Stevenson. But it's just about how beautiful childhood in particular can be. And it's called The Swing. How do you like to go up in a swing, up in the air so blue? Oh, I do think it the pleasantest thing ever a child can do. Up in the air and over the wall, so I can see so wide, rivers and trees and cattle and all, over the countryside, till I look down on the garden green, down on the roof so brown. Up in the air I go flying again, up in the air and down. I think we all need to go on the swings again. I think sometimes as we age, we forget how wonderful it is to swing on the swings. And I think we should all do it again. So now I've got a couple of poems by YA authors. The first one is actually called Depression. I know I can't pronounce her last name. By Cara Delvigne. Who am I? Who am I trying to be? Not myself. Anyone but myself. Living in a fantasy to bury the reality. Making myself the mystery. A strong facade disguising the misery. Empty, but beyond the point of emptiness. Full to the brim with fake confidence. A guard that will never be broken. Because I broke a long time ago. I'm hurting, but don't tell anyone. No one needs to know. Don't show or you failed. Always okay, always fine, always on show. The show must go on. It will never stop. The show must not go on, but I know it will. I give up. I give up giving up. I am lost. I don't need to be saved. I need to be found. And this was what I was talking about with the mask, right? But critically, I think at the end it says, I don't need to be saved. I need to be found. And though the speaker is so insistent about not showing the agony, they don't want to ask for people to see it. They want it to be found. They want to be found. Which is I think a profound statement about how you feel when you're depressed. You want someone to actually notice that you're faking it. And that's why, those of us who are close to people, we need to not just be satisfied when people say, "Oh, I'm okay, I'm fine." We need to actually talk to them, actually listen to them. Because that person who's saying, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay," might be doing precisely that. And you need to look for them. Okay, moving on. This is called Stomp by Nikki Grimes. I come home, feet about to bleed from angry stomping. "Boy," says Mom, "quit making all that racket." But what does she expect when, day after day, haters sling words at me like jagged stones designed to split my skin? I retreat to my room, collapse on the bed, count 1, 2, 3. When I get to 10, I snap up journal and pen, flip to a clean page and unload my hurt, my rage, till I can breathe again. Letter by letter, I rediscover my power to decide which words matter and which words don't, and whose. Calm now, I remember. I get to choose. And that is about the cruelty of other people, and yet the way that this character writes sort of gets the rage and the hurt out. Literally out of his body by writing. I encourage people to write in this way. To reclaim your choices. You choose what to write. You choose how to respond, even if it feels impossible at that moment. But eventually it is. It's in your power. Eventually, you will learn it's in your power. But you have to seize that knowledge. Okay, I have one more. The Brider by Naomi Shihab Nye. A boy told me if he roller skated fast enough, his loneliness couldn't catch up to him. The best reason I ever heard for trying to be a champion. What I wonder tonight, pedaling hard down King William Street, is if it translates to bicycles. A victory! To leave your loneliness panting behind you on some street corner while you float free into a cloud of sudden azaleas. Pink petals that have never felt loneliness, no matter how slowly they fell. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, there are a billion poems that exist, and I'm sure there are many, many more that I could have read. But these were just some that I found. And I do love poetry. I've loved it most of my life. And I'd encourage people to explore it. Find the writers whose words just kind of hit you right there. Because they can help you through a lot. They can help you when you're lonely. They've helped me when I'm lonely. Help you feel less alone. You're never alone, but they can help you feel a lot less alone when you do feel alone. And also, they can capture, some of these poets have this sort of unutterable pain that exists, but also lay claim to the beauty that coexists in a world that has been suffering from unfairness and continues to suffer from painful forms of unfairness, many of them. And yet, not only nature, but people can do such beautiful things. Not just the poets, but people fighting can be so beautiful. And I encourage you, when things seem so hard, when everything seems so confusing and screwed up, and there's so much wrong with our world, to take a look at those people who are fighting and who are fighting so beautifully. There's beauty in that fight against what's wrong. Perhaps the most beautiful thing in the world to me. Because they are fighting for all of us. Okay. I'm going to sign out. And I hope we've inspired some people to check out some poetry. Because it can express things that many of us can't find the words for. But when we find a poem, it can knock your legs out. And I wish I were a better reader of poetry, but I tried. Okay, everyone take care of each other. Love each other, and don't be satisfied with I'm fine. Okay? Wish I could be talking to you face to face. Bye-bye.